Welcome in, one and all. I would like to introduce my guest, Gunny Speaks Out, the famous TikToker here who likes to ride around on his Harley and terrorize dumb people. So, to follow up, let me finish that story real quick, though.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Gunny just had a gallbladder removal surgery. His was an emergency, mine was planned out. I had mine done last March, and I'm a maintenance man by trade. So, my first week back, everybody told me, said, don't go too far away from a bathroom. Sure. So I'm on a scissor lift about 30 feet in the air, and all of a sudden I heard something just download, and I was like, oh God, here we go. So I start down this thing, and those things do not move fast. It
They're
was like
slow. I used to sell them.
beep, beep, beep. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so terrible. I made it.
Did you?
I'll say that, but it
You're
was,
lucky.
it was one of those James Bond moments, where the chute opens at the very last second,
Yeah.
Man. So anyway, how you been? You said you went to a protest this afternoon. How'd that
Yeah,
go?
I'm in Evansville, Indiana. We had a ICE protest out in front of a military memorial called Four Freedoms, right on the Ohio River. We probably had 200 people. I don't know, somewhere between 100 and 200. It kind of was shifted a lot because it's so cold. Some people came, they stayed for a little bit and left, and then more people showed up. But yeah, we had an ICE protest out there, and I had my new setup, so it was a good time. We got the word out.
That's good. That's good. I know you and I are getting ready for an in-person meetup coming up in at the end of this month in DC. Are you excited about the March for Democracy?
Yeah, always excited about that stuff, especially when it comes to going to DC. So this will be my third trip to DC. So
Heck yeah.
yeah.
So, want to ask you about that as far as doing a protest in regards to local protest. We've done protest here in our region, and this is our first trip to DC. What's the difference? Like, what's something I can expect to be monumentally different about protesting in DC as opposed to doing a protest on the local level?
I would probably say just alone the size would probably be the huge difference, and of course that really just kind of depends on how good the message gets out or whatever. But every protest, everything that I've ever done in DC has been significantly like magnified on the local level. Now, our last No Kings, we had about 3,000 people there, but then when we did remove the regime, there was 10,000 people there. So just the crowd size alone was like probably the biggest thing. And then the diversity in the people, because people were coming to DC from all over the country. And so I thought that's what I thought. That's actually was the really cool thing was the different groups of people because you had veterans, you had civilians, you had everybody from every walk of life out there. So the diversity of the crowd is going to be huge as well. And I don't know, there's something about being in DC too, since you're so close to the White House, the vibe is just hugely different as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's like I've moved up to the pro level of
Yeah,
protesting at that point,
you're gonna be amazed, man, and you'll like it though. You'll fit right in. You'll be
Oh,
fine.
yeah. No, I'm good. Outside of that, how's everything going in the TikTok verse?
Like I was trying to figure out if I was getting suppressed or not, and then I just posted a video this morning, and it doesn't seem that that is the case. And I've been trying to do a little bit more debate. So there hasn't been a whole lot of new gunny in the wild because it's cold and snowing, and I really haven't even. And we talked about this the other day. I hadn't even really been able to get out of my neighborhood on the Harley. So today, the enough snow has melted where I could, but it was like 30 something degrees. But as far as TikTok goes, nah, it is what it is. I'm still 50-50 on if I'm going to stay on there or not
Yeah.
depending on how it goes under new ownership. But it's going, so we'll see.
Right. Well, that's kind of the situation I was in there at first. When we first had the transition, I was getting, 6 views on something I would normally get 2,500 views on or something,
Yeah.
like I expected. Like, you know how it is. You can usually
Yep.
tell what kind of viewers you're going to get on a video once you go through and edit it. And so I thought it was. So I went into TikTok Taco. I think that's how you say it. It is TikTok's AI. Did you know they had
Oh yeah.
that? Yeah, there is an AI. If you go into your notifications in there, it'll give you just a little. You can chit chat with TikTok Taco, and
Huh.
so I did, and I said, "Are you suppressing left leaning creators?" I just flat out asked it, and it said,
Mhm.
"No, we've changed the algorithm to pick up more on hashtags and specific ones, blah blah blah." So
Interesting.
I've started using hashtags, and then my viewership started going back up. So,
Oh, it did?
yeah, it did. I never used hashtags before. I would raw dog one and then just send it out, throw some
Mm.
captions on it and send that shit out. You know, if it was just me speaking and yeah, you know,
The
it was
hashtags, I think, they make a huge difference, but now that I know that, I'm gonna focus on it even more, and the one thing I like about YouTube and some things that you can when you get input for YouTube, they will recommend, like, the popular hashtags, you just gotta find the ones that are relevant to your content. So my
yeah.
YouTube is growing pretty like, I'm at 23,000 right now on YouTube, which is good for YouTube. But
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
you, I've noticed, like, when that shift first happened a couple weeks ago, I was getting, like, 70 views, and I'm like, "What the hell happened?" And then it just slowly started kinda picking back up, and then I did a Gunny in the Wild the other day, and, it's at probably 15,000, but I posted that Jake Lang video of him kicking over the ice, it's
Mhm.
over 100,000.
Oh, is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually
So
liked that when I saw that one, so,
yeah.
yeah, I threw you a like on that one, but no, I mean, we're kinda the same way though, which, you know, I love that app, but I have moved over into Substack. I enjoy writing, you know, I mean,
Substack's
uh,
good for that.
you know, and Substack's good for that. It really
Yeah.
is, and I like I say, I'm not the best writer in the world, but I do enjoy that, and that's, you know, my degree actually is in English, so
Okay.
it just fits more. I've been kinda driving through my live streams, driving people to my Substack,
Mhm.
to my reels, my you know, and all that, so but I'm starting to grow on those avenues too because I was very one-dimensional there for a long time. Didn't have this platform, I didn't have Substack, any of the other things, so
Yeah,
it's
I
just
like yeah, Substack's good. It's slow growth over there, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I like the platform. But since, like, I started Gunny in the Wild, like, my Instagram and that was March of last year, my Instagram really took off, and then once I started replugging it through Facebook, and I know they're both Meta, but that will, my 2 most successful platforms in terms of viewership are Instagram and Facebook,
Mhm.
and between those 2, I'm over 1,000,000 followers.
Holy shit, dude. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 700 and like, almost 786,000 on Instagram and 518,000 on Facebook. I've been on those way less time than TikTok, and TikTok I'm at like 175,000. So I'm
Yeah,
like, how is that even possible?
yeah,
So weird.
yeah.
But I don't know if you did you see that I got a truck to do Gunny in the Wild?
Oh, I did, I love it. Yes, I
So,
love it.
just for everybody that's listening to this, if you've been watching my content for a while, normally people know me as the guy, like, "Are you the fuck Trump motorcycle guy?" Well, yeah, I am that guy. So now I bought the truck and I have a setup with my truck, but I'm getting a trailer. So Gunny in the Wild is going to be going cross country.
Hell
So
yeah.
once the weather warms up, I'm hauling the Harley out to Florida and I'm offloading there and I'm gonna tool around the vicinity out there and do what I do here because people are like, Gunny, can you come to Florida? Can you come here? It's MAGA country.
Yeah.
So to be Florida, Texas, and I'll have to swing up through Arkansas on my way out there to come see you, and
Hell
then
yeah.
it'll be California, but I'll publish the schedule. So that was the reasoning for the truck, and it just so happened that it worked out good because there's been so much snow. I've got a thing with 2 flags on the back, and I drove that to the protest today, so it was pretty popular. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The, you know, it's funny, you was talking about your Gunny in the Wild videos and you being see, I didn't know you were on Facebook and Instagram,
Hmm.
and I was at work the other day, and I was in my office, and the guy back behind me was sitting there, was on lunch, he was watching reels, and I heard you, and I went, "Is that Gunny?" And he was like, I don't know, it's just some buff guy on a motorcycle pissing off MAGA," and I was like, "Oh, it's Gunny then. It's Gunny, let me
Yeah.
see," and it was you, it was one of your videos. I think it was that one where you told the old man, you're like, "I rescind shaking your hand," or, "I take
Oh,
back."
yeah. He was a veteran.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yeah. How speaking of that, and that's a good segue into what I wanna talk next. How how difficult is it for you to talk to other vets who are sitting there supporting everything that's happening today?
Yeah. So here in the local area, I've had a couple, and one of the videos that I talked to, he was in the army 20 something years, I guess. And there was just there. I mean, I know that there's no getting through to them, and I'm not trying to change their mind. Literally, I'm just trying to expose them for their stupidity. That was
Yeah.
a three-part video we had in front of Target. So it's hard to talk to them. And I haven't ran into any active duty for the like I was actually genuinely surprised at the amount of veteran support that I get through the app, people watching my content.
Mhm.
Because MAG is 100% sure that I'm the only veteran that doesn't vote for Trump. And
Here
I
I am.
thought, well, maybe are you what? You too?
Huh?
You too, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
And what
disabled vet, yeah, Army vet.
yeah, yeah, so you get it. So and at first I was like, "Well, maybe I am, maybe the numbers are pretty low." But I think at least over time that I think maybe that percentage has shifted greatly in that there's more veteran support for what our team than what MAGA actually believes. And possibly even active duty. If they could talk about it openly, I would say we would because I had people. So here's the deal. I was in DC, I had people come up to me, they're like, "Hey, Gunny, I'm on active duty, but so like, but don't
Mm,
tell nobody. I'm on
yeah.
active duty and I'm out here, so don't video me, whatever." And I had probably 10 of those guys out there.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of them are so fed up now. They're coming and they want to be vocal about it and they can't. And guys were like, I'm trying to get out. I'm so sick of this administration. So I see it a lot more that we are getting the support for our side, but I
Mhm.
still think that there's a great number of people, veterans and active duty, that still support this guy. I just cannot wrap my head around it, man. I don't know that I ever will.
Yeah. It's rough, honestly. I was in the Army. I was in basic training during September 11th
Okay.
at Fort Benning, Georgia, which
Yeah.
it got tighter than the hair in a biscuit during that time frame. But, you know, I have 2 my 2 older sons are in the Army. I have one, my oldest son is a sergeant in the Army, and
Mhm.
then my middle son he is going through his AIT, and
Okay.
he's a forward observer is his MOS. So
Yeah.
it's some high speed shit, huh?
Yeah.
But,
Ooh.
his it's funny though because we were talking about that. My oldest son is as left leaning as they can come. You know,
Yeah.
he painted nails, eyeliner, whatever on
I love it.
weekends when he's off on a trip with his girlfriend or whatever. But then
Yeah.
you know, then Monday morning, he's right back in there, but we were talking about that the support that Trump has in regards to the military, and I told him, and I feel like it's this way. I feel like it depends on your rank. I figure most of your E1 through E5s are probably going to swing more conservative. A lot
Mhm.
of the younger military men that are in there because they're
Mhm.
just coming home from, just leaving their mom and dad. They still have a lot of their viewpoints. Their
Mhm.
viewpoints they're starting to create their own. But
Sure.
usually E6 and above, and I would say O3 and above, most likely are more left leaning in that demographic than there
Sure.
are
Because you've had
right
more
leaning.
time to like educate yourself on policy and you're running around in a more educated, a little bit different crowd at the staff and CO ranks,
Yeah.
and then the major and above and stuff like that. So yeah, I would agree with you 100%. Plus the younger E1s and E2s, they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So they're really just motivated by a Trump vibe than anything. I had a guy on there this morning. I think he was I think he must have been a Lance Cooley. He was a Marine. And I
Yeah.
didn't believe he was a Marine first, but he hit all the same talking points and stuff like that. But he didn't know policy. He didn't know civics. He barely knew like his general orders because I asked him that stuff too. And I think he's just one of those that are, probably following what family he grew up in, where he came from in North Carolina. And then
Yeah.
when he hit the fleet, everybody's probably that same group is probably pumped up for Trump because of probably one hardcore corporal or specialist or whatever, and
Right.
so they're just probably falling in behind all that, and because you know as well as I do, it's much easier just to follow something like that than it is to
Oh,
educate
yeah.
yourself on policy and
It
get the
is.
true understand truly why you would support somebody, and that's the same on on both sides. I would say, yeah,
Right. And that's one of my big points as well that I like to harp on is vetting our candidates. We can sit here and we can blame Trump, we can blame Christian nationalism, but we have to really look at ourselves in the mirror and blame ourselves because we're the ones that elected these people,
yep,
you know? And I wish that weren't the case. I wish America were more educated on a lot of these issues, but yeah, books. There's an inoculation for stupidity and they're called books, you know?
yeah.
And
One of my favorite ones, by the way, hang on, that you can plug, "On Tyranny" by Timothy Snyder, a
yeah,
good starting point.
on tyranny. Yes.
Yep. or you can go watch it on his YouTube channel. He breaks it down on there too. I've done TikTok lives on that. But I'm
Right.
telling you, when I was at the protest today, they had a table of books, and I didn't mean to shift gears on you,
No,
but
no,
they
no,
had a
you're fine.
table of books out there, and I was on live, and I'm zooming down on the books. I'm like, look, books. It's the kryptonite for MAGA.
Yeah. It is, it is, it is. I had a video hit pretty good the other day, and it was just a response video, and a guy asked me, he said, "What is it about why is it that the left just hates law and order?" And I was like, "It's probably because we actually read and know what law and order is, and, perhaps if you read a little bit more and maybe studied a little bit more, you'd be able to lean a little bit left yourself, you know?
Mhm.
And it does come with that. I find that there's such a hard critique on those who educate themselves. It's almost a stigma now to go out and actually learn what's happening in the world, read past the Truth Social posts and OAN, whatever that
Yeah.
shit's called. So
Well, I think a part of that too is when it comes to like being educated, college, going to college and stuff like that, or even in the arts and stuff like that. Why this administration hates, higher education and the arts and stuff like that is, I think, because at some point along with that, you grow a level of empathy, and that's what this administration doesn't want is empathy because they probably can't even define what empathy is, and I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons that this administration is against higher education and things like that. That just my opinion.
no, I would tend to agree. I've stopped debating MAGA. I've stopped platforming them. Period.
Mhm,
And that all happened with Renee Good and Alex
mhm,
Preddy. I was like, there's no longer a debate. You
yeah,
can sit down at the kids' table and let the adults talk about this rationally. But the vast majority of the ones that I've actually pulled up to debate, and I'm not talking about the mouth breathers that, think that they're protecting women by voting for Donald Trump. I'm talking about the people who are educated and they do know the reasoning behind why they support what Trump is doing. And the vast difference between them and anybody on the left is they are apathetic. They are the most apathetic people. They're well aware of what's happening and they are running into it with arms wide open, you
yeah.
know?
They don't care.
They don't care because they think that you've got to break a few eggs to make an omelet is basically their stance on that.
Mhm.
Speaking of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, of course, that was horrific. What moves would you have liked to have seen Tim Waltz make in order to maybe quell some of that on a state level?
In terms of like what happened after the fact,
Right,
or
after report, after action,
yeah. So, well, man, that's a really good question.
Sorry, that's loaded. I didn't
No,
prep
no,
you
you're
on
good.
that.
No, you're good. That's like a there's like a so and FYI, I have a request in to speak to Tim Walz, and they responded to back to me. And they said, just shoot me a time when you want to have him on so we can bounce it off his schedule. They emailed me back, I think it was last week. So I was kind of letting all this stuff die down so he can deal with it so I can get a good time because I do want to talk about this stuff with him. And then I have to figure out what I want to ask him. But so on that note, so first off, we already know that they shouldn't be there anyway. And if you ask me, I think that the reason they started in Minneapolis and that it happened the way that it did um, is because of old boy that did the investigation with the daycare fraud and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So, and he ran. I'm not. His name's escaping me now. What's his name again? Oh, why can't I think of his name now?
I'll pull it up if I need to. I
I'm
know.
blanking
Yeah.
on his name right now. Well, I ran into him in DC before I knew who he was. And Nick Shirley.
Nick Shirley, that's it. I just pulled
Yeah.
it up. Yeah.
I ran into Nick Shirley in DC at the Lincoln Memorial, and he was getting chased around by a bunch of people that were protesting out there. And so I got up next to him and I was trying to talk to him, and he would not talk to me. And I know he didn't know who I was. I didn't know who he was at the time, but it explains why that big crowd was following him. When I posted the video of him running, somebody goes, "Hey, that's Nick Shirley." So then I did some digging. Then his name popped up big for the Minnesota stuff. So I think he kind of lit the match on what's going on in some sense in Minnesota right now. And of course, Trump and Christy Nominal then continue to perpetuate it. So first, I guess I would have liked to seen a bigger fight from Tim Walz to say, look, don't send ICE here, yada 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 yada. But so of course that didn't happen. But what I would really like to see a push for, like trying to figure out how to open up an investigation on both of those shootings, because I feel like so 'cause people always make this comment, "Stop! Why don't you tell me something you really like about the Democratic Party instead of just bashing Trump?" And to be quite honest, with the exception of a few people, I'm not too happy with the Democratic Party myself.
I'm
You
not
know what I'm
either.
saying?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not either.
So I can't really say anything that I like what's good, because I feel like we get a lot of talk but like no action. So I would have liked to seen Tim Walz try to be a little bit more direct in his efforts to block ICE from getting there, kind of like Pritzker did in Chicago. At least he made some sort of attempt to block ICE from doing that, but he didn't do that. And I don't hate Tim Walz. I actually really like the fact that he was running for to be
Vice president?
alongside Kamala Harris for vice president. But I would really like to see more from him and out of them to get this investigation open on both of those. Because I think there is an investigation going on with Alex Preddy, but as far as I know, they're not pursuing anything civil on the Renee Good
Uh-uh,
shooting. I'm like,
and
how is
they
that
should
even
be.
fucking? They
How do
should
you
be.
not?
Yeah, and then they let the FBI or the state investigators out of the whole thing. So I'm like, that just tells you right there. Like Tim Walz should be speaking up about that, because that just tells you right now, what we're going to have the FBI, we're going to have ICE investigate themselves. I mean, that's not how shit works. So I'm pretty I'm very that's probably the biggest thing that I'm upset about, is I haven't seen enough pushback from him in terms of trying to fight for some sort of justice on both of those. And I feel like with everything else, it's just going to fall by the wayside again, because Democrats are just too weak.
They are.
I just it's so fucking frustrating. I got people out here wanting me to run for governor.
Right.
Like,
I'd vote for you.
seriously,
Yeah, yeah.
seriously, so it's like, and I ask myself this every time, and you probably do too, like, what is it about Republicans and Democrats that they won't stand up to Donald Trump? And so, uh, you know, I'm not happy with my party right now, but Tim Walz needs to be doing something more. And if I had the opportunity to interview him, I'm going to ask him that question. What are you planning on doing? Because like people need to know.
Well, and, my response to all that was 100% I agree with you. ICE had 0 business being there, 100%. They did not belong. However, I believe that the states have a lot more authority than what this current administration understands. I would have liked to have seen a more radical move from Tim Walz and other Democratic governors alike.
Mhm.
I was looking for hey, either you pull ICE out of Minnesota or I'm calling up my National Guard. And then Gavin Newsom walks in and says, and I'm pulling in my National Guard to help support them. Andy Bashir's
Mhm.
National Guard comes in and have an alliance of governors that are sitting there ready to thwart this
Sure.
tyrannical government. Because by God, what is a well-regulated militia if it's not a state's freaking National Guard unit, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, and
Yeah.
I was wanting to see a much more aggressive posture in regards to the taco because we all know he always backs out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I don't know. So now and I did a like a 6 or 7 minute post on YouTube about how this administration is allowing all this stuff to happen, and why. So now we're spread out to different parts of California now, and I think Portland again.
Mhm.
And so eventually it's just going to keep spreading like a freaking virus. So when are the Democrats going to wake up and be like, do what you're talking about? I think if we had enough alliance between state level leadership where we could like at least mitigate some of the damage, slow us down, or maybe even end it all together. If whatever state you're living in, if you think it's not coming to you, you're sorely mistaken. Because I
Yep.
thought that too, and they're already across the river in Kentucky.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
I
20
know.
minutes away right now, and
Yeah,
I know Indiana is next
yeah.
because they're going to hit Indianapolis. Our governor invited ICE here, so yeah, he invited them here. So it's going to start in Indianapolis, and then it's going to filter straight down here, 3 hours south. And guess who's going to
But,
be
like,
on the
you
front
said
line?
you're in Evansville?
Yeah,
Well, see, I lived in Oak Grove. I don't know if you know where Oak Grove is or not. It's
yeah,
right there by Clarksville,
yeah,
Tennessee. It's right there on the border. We used to go run
yeah,
up to
yeah.
Evansville all the time when I was at,
Well,
Fort Campbell.
I did all my C&P exams at Clarksville, Tennessee.
Oh, no shit. Yeah.
Yep. I drove that man, I was going there, like, every week when I was stuck at 70 for a long time, but, yeah, I used to go to Clarksville all the time.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was
I know
stationed there.
okay, yeah. So, yeah, so, you know, I'm and like I said, I'm gonna be on the front lines when they get here. Whether or not I'm gonna have a huge impact, maybe not, my voice is still gonna be heard, but I have a serious concern about the safety of the American people across the world right now, and I'm like the other thing and on this, like, there's so many people that aren't tuned into what's going on right now, they just don't care.
No clue. They have
They
no
stay willfully ignorant to the fact. I'm like, how is that even freaking possible? If you care 1 ounce about what's going on, well, like, if you care about your kids and your family, you need to be listening. And that's why 90 million people sat the fucking vote out, and we can't let that happen again.
Yeah.
We got to get people that have the ability and the will to get out in the street and do this because MAGA will say, "Oh, it's not making a difference." It's not making a difference. It's putting a dent in it for sure, but we're limited on what we can do as civilians. But now the Democratic leadership needs to step up to the freaking plate. I'm like,
Yeah.
when, like, short of one of us coming off the street in every state and trying to run for that position, like, when should we expect to see this happen? That's why I'm
Yeah.
so disappointed in the Democratic.
Well, I'll be real with you, Gunny. I've been disappointed in them since 2015,
Sure.
and I pretty much stepped away. My votes for the past several election cycles have been a protest vote against the DNC in and of itself.
I,
I look at and I'm going to disparage the DNC real quick for a minute, but I look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg sat in her seat way too long. Obama begged her to step down. She refused to. She had to keep doing the fight. And that's an issue, and that's a systemic issue, and that needs to be reviewed, and that needs to be changed.
yeah, I don't like the lifetime appointments of Supreme Court
I
judges.
don't either.
I don't think
I
that's right.
I think 15 years is a good term, and I think it was a TikTok creator that I heard talking about this. I'd heard of the 15-year term, but he was talking about putting 13, increasing the up to the 13, like the 13 districts, judicial
Yeah.
districts that we have in the US. And I
Yeah.
agree with that, where they're elected by that district. Whatever district they're in,
Hmm.
that's the one those people vote on that justice. And
Yeah.
I like that idea. But then I look at Merrick Garland. If anybody had an axe to grind with the grand old party, the guardians of pedophiles, it would have to be Merrick Garland
Yeah.
because they robbed him of a Supreme Court seat. And
Yeah.
then instead of going after Trump tour de force as soon as he was sworn in as the attorney general, he sat on his thumbs, dude. He didn't do anything until he waited until to see what Trump was going to do. And once
Mhm.
Trump went ahead and started going after, yeah, they went after him, and of course, it gives that viewpoint of now he's targeting his DOJ towards his political rivals.
100% he is. And let's not forget, he appointed Emo Bove, and I can't remember what district it was. And he appointed him like early on too. And I'm like, damn.
Dude,
He's part of the appeals process in a lot of this shit too. I'm like, holy, this shit is scary.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. But, when you talk about people being oblivious and willfully ignorant, and I can understand in some aspects of it because, you and I have kids, we have grandkids, you get busy working, doing this, doing that, whatever, and then so it's hard to keep up with everything. However, that doesn't mean that you should just stick your head in the sand and not pay attention when a citizen is shot by uh, agent of the federal government, several of them in broad daylight. That should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And I get it. Like, living in that headspace is way easier just to turn a blind eye to it so you can live in your little freaking bubble. Like, there's times I get so frustrated about, man, I wish I could do that for a couple of days, but
Yeah.
I can't afford to do that, because if everybody was operating on that notion, then there would be nobody in the streets protesting and nothing would be getting accomplished. And people are like, "Oh, I'm just not political." I'm like, we're not in a time right now where you can't afford to not be political.
I
And I'm
say this
hoping.
I
Go
say
ahead.
this a lot and Rachel gets on to me for it. However, politics are like Bill Cosby. Either
Oh
we
God.
fucking or I'm fucking, you know?
Yeah.
And because Politics affects every aspect of your life. It impacts the roads you drive on, the food you eat, the air you breathe, and the
Yep.
taxes you pay. And we're
Yep.
all going to pay taxes. So it affects every aspect of your life, and you should be vetting those people accordingly. Rachel gets so mad at me when I use that analogy, but it's one of my favorites.
That's funny.
But yeah, and you know, it should concern others. I know you and I, we both former service members, and when one person's rights are violated, it should infuriate everyone. Every one of us should be up in
Mhm.
arms, ready
Yep.
ready for action,
Yep.
because it's a slippery slope until it's all of us, you know?
And MAGA's gonna find out. Eventually, it's gonna hit them bigger in a bigger scope. I actually kinda thought the economy stuff was gonna when it started impacting their wallet, that they might wake up a little bit, but now they're just denying the fact that groceries are higher.
Yeah,
Like, they're just pretending that it's not even happening.
it's a
So,
cult.
that didn't work.
It's a cult. It's a
I know,
cult.
man. So now the only thing I can figure is, okay, well, once they start snatching up MAGA off the street for, not having papers or doing whatever, I mean, maybe that'll have an impact or somebody in their family. But at this point, like, it seems like I thought, okay, like, I wonder where MAGA draws the line. And I'd say, okay, it's got to be every time. Like, okay, it's got to be here. Like, I thought it was going to be E. Jean Carroll. Nope, not E.
Nope,
Jean Carroll. And
nope.
now, now it's Epstein files. Nope, not even that. I've
Yeah.
had a veteran tell me, doing Gunny in the Wild in front of Target, he told me he wouldn't care if Donald Trump had been complicit in some of that stuff in the FCC. Told me he didn't care. He's like, "What does it matter?" I'm like, "Are you freaking serious?"
Is
So it
that
seems like that line that I keep thinking might be the hit for MAGA, that might be enough for MAGA. It just keeps moving. So I'm like, I can't. At this point, I don't know where that endpoint is going to be for them. Maybe there's just not.
I don't think there is. I really don't, because it's funny. For so long, MAGA has believed that they are the alphas out in the wild. That because we're on the left, we're weak and timid and brother, I'm 6'3" and 205. I'm not really intimidatable, and
I've ate 205.
yeah,
Yeah, so I
yeah,
get it.
exactly. And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine. You think you're the only one that knows what that Second Amendment's all about? You think you're the only one that's been proficiently trained in how
There you go.
to fire those weapons? Because you're not." But it's funny because all that male bravado that's been coming from them has been whimpered down to a comply or die state.
And I still here in Evansville, I still see the Gadsden flag with Trump stickers on their gender affirming care four-wheel drive pickups. They do not get it.
Easy on the gender affirming care. I'm driving a big old four-wheel drive Dodge.
Well, well, but that's only on the MAGA side. They're driving that because that's their. But for us, it's different,
It is, it
But
is,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I like calling their. I always like, yeah. Why don't you go jump in your gender affirming care four-wheel drive pickup and kiss your sister?
Well,
But did MAGA become the biggest snowflakes overnight?
oh, 100% they did.
Even though they think that they're the alpha, because I've never seen a group of more butthurt. Because when I saw the FJB flags flying
Yeah,
around and shit like that, I didn't give a shit. I never said one thing.
yeah. Didn't bother
They
me.
cannot, and it works it's good for my content. They cannot keep their mouths shut.
Oh.
They have they can't. And as of late, I don't know if you've seen some of the most recent people are ready to beat my ass.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I started doing kickboxing and MMA again. I'm
Gotta
not
step
even
back
joking.
out.
I go 2 or 3 times a week now. I just had my first kickboxing class Monday because of my gallbladder stuff. But that's why I started going back. Because when I went to a car show, I pulled up and these four fucking MAGAs were like, "Why don't you get off that bike and see what happens?" I'm like, "Why are you trying to fight me over a flag?" Three people
Yeah,
inside of 5 minutes said they were going to beat my ass right in front of the cops.
and the
And the
cops
cops
didn't
let
do
it
shit.
happen. And the cops let it happen. It's crazy, man. So yeah, so they are the biggest fucking snowflakes over a flag.
Well, they really are, and that in general, I it's almost funny now. I have, we both got backup accounts because, they get triggered so easy. They hear me. I like to tell people I am cognitive dissonance for MAGA because I look so MAGA and I
Yeah,
sound so MAGA until
me too.
they
You and
actually
I
listen
both.
to yeah, until they listen to the words coming out of my mouth, and then they don't know
Yeah,
how to react. They're like,
yeah.
this isn't what is this right? but you are dealing with a cult of personality where you have these people have given their spine and their soul to the cult of Trump. Yes. Who's that? Stephen?
Stephen Hassan, he's coming on my podcast in a couple of weeks.
Oh, hell yeah.
The
Hell yeah.
author of this book. Yeah.
Hell
Another
yeah.
great book. So just exactly what you're talking about, man.
Yes, and so I made a joke video right after probably about a year ago, and actually I think you liked that one. But it was I said if there's ever been anybody who could convince MAGA to turn over their weapons, it would be Donald J. Trump.
Hmm.
And they were like, oh, they came out in droves. Ain't no way he's taking my guns. He wouldn't even ask. And then what happened when Preddy was
Yep.
shot? Well, what's he doing taking a gun to freaking rally, or a
Yeah.
protest? Well, I don't know. When Rittenhouse was doing it, you guys were glazing the donut,
There you go.
of him.
There you go.
And but yeah, I think
But
Trump
I mean,
had,
do you remember when Trump was talking to Mike Pence at the table about the red flag laws, and he said, "Well, we take the guns early and then due process later." Do you remember that?
yes,
That video is starting to resurface now. So,
yes, I remember
and
that.
then after Pam Bondi's latest comments about that shit, it almost like I don't know that it would happen, but I think the percentage of it happening or them paving the way to do something with guns, and MAGA will probably still deny it. I think it could be happening behind the scenes because if you add up from back then until now,
Yeah.
it makes you scratch your head, man.
It does. It does. Oh, he'll never take our guns. I bet he's
Yeah,
working on it. Bet he's
yeah.
fucking working on it.
You
Because if you look at the playbook, just the playbook, he's doing everything right down the line. And the funny thing is, he's telling you what he's about to do too.
I know. You should
It's like,
watch
yes,
you should
he's giving
watch
us an
Hitler,
open test.
you should watch Hitler's Circle of Evil on Netflix.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Finished that up like 3 nights ago, dude.
It
Yeah.
and the parallels are just insane. And I'm like, because I used to put when I first started watching it before the election, I was posting on that a whole lot, and I'm like, man, that was pretty freaking eye opening. And I was telling people, you guys need to watch this because he's following. That's basically everything that's happening now. Look at the media, 100%,
Yeah.
just the same freaking way. And the biggest thing on my mind right now is what's going on with the media with Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And then the other seven
Mhm.
people and my buddy, DeWoke Farmer, they got arrested out there. He and I protested in D.C. together. So those 9 individuals, out there, they're trying to bring charges on for First Amendment stuff in the FACE Act and whatever the other one was. I'm like, Trump is absolutely 100% trying to silence you. And it's
Yeah.
not just going to, right now, it's starting with the left liberals or whatever. But eventually, if they have it their way, it's going to be everybody.
Well, yeah, and I watched the reporters getting more and more soft with him, tossing up more softball questions so that they're able to
Mhm.
get the airtime.
Yep.
I don't see and that's one of the things. We need a strong press that's out here. Now, look, I'm talking about legacy media because you and I both know that what we're doing right now is going to become the media of the future. It's going
Yep.
to be real people. We're the town criers. They're sitting on
Mhm.
the corner yelling about, whatever. And some people listen, some people don't. But yeah,
I don't know if you know what do you watch Mercado Media at all?
who?
It's called Mercado Media. They
Huh.
interviewed me. They interviewed me while I was in DC. He's from Minneapolis. He's up there covering. I'll send you his stuff. He's covering a lot
Cool.
of what's happening up there. Good guy, but like he's not up there with Midas Touch just yet or whatever. But I could see him like getting to that level. That's where people go to Midas Touch now to get what's going
They
on in
do.
the media.
They
Yeah,
do,
and
yeah.
so
Midas.
many people are popping up like that, doing that same thing, like you said.
Yeah, and the legacy media is a dying platform. I mean, it really
Mhm.
is. They may be
Yeah.
getting all the contracts and everything right now, but their viewership continues to drop and dwindle, and the less authentic they become, the less power they have.
Yep.
And because I've said this so many times, the American people right now are craving authenticity. They're craving real people that are going to give them the real facts of the matter.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
if you look at news sources that MAGA listens to, it's all legacy media. They don't go and listen. I'll be honest with you, I get a lot of my news from BBC,
Me too.
and they're like, "You can't trust them." Bitch, like you can trust Fox,
Yeah.
you know? Like, come
Yeah.
on.
I asked a veteran today, I'm like, "Where did you get what do you what do you watch?" He goes, "Oh, I get most of my information when it comes to politics from Instagram and TikTok." I'm
Yeah,
like, "Are you serious?"
yeah. It's true though, but it's true. I mean, I don't
Oh,
even go on Facebook anymore because I know too many people, and it breaks my heart to see how these people are so absolved to the fact that, yeah, these brown people deserve to be hauled up in a U-Haul and hauled off to a fucking gulag in El Salvador, you know?
it's
Um,
insane,
it is.
insane to me. And we got 5-year-old little Liam who, got hauled off 1,000 miles away to a detention center in Texas. They're like, "Well, they're taking away the dangerous criminals." I'm like, "What about this kid?"
Yeah. What did he do? What about that puppy they kicked? Did you see the
Oh,
puppy?
I posted that.
Oh, was that you that posted that? Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Holy shit, man. That really pissed me off. Like, I care about people and shit like that, but there's a
Don't
special
fuck with
place
the
in
dog.
hell for people that fucking abuse animals.
Yeah. Don't fuck with the dog, don't fuck with the cat. I don't give
We're
a
about to
fuck
do some
because
John Wick shit over that.
yeah, yeah. I was just like, oh, that's terrible." Yeah,
Yeah.
that whole thing, but, flooding the zone, we talk about that quite often, and the problem is and I just posted something on that the other day, and I said, "We have to stay angry," because if you listen to the news media, they are starting to soften up on Trump. They are. And the thought police, whatever you wanna call them, it is working,
Mhm.
and they are overwhelming us with anxiety-ridden whatever. We have to remain angry because once we let that anger subside, then we're desensitized to it, and
There
it
you
becomes
go.
our new normal, and we
And
can't
I know
allow that to happen.
I keep plugging these books, but Barbara McQuaid is on the news a lot as of late. And what you're talking about right there, she gets into it that exactly in this book right here.
It's like, dude, it's like I'm setting you up.
Do you know who Christopher Goldsmith is?
Yeah.
Okay, I get my reading list from him.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll like most of what I have here is from like one of his initial reading lists. This is like even before the election, but then I just keep searching out books. But he recommended this a great book, but it's talking about exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and
And
how what they're doing with the media. And oh man, you're like, I mean, it's super eye opening when you read this stuff. You're like, holy shit, I had no clue, and like, oh, but
oh, it's
yes,
insane, dude. It's absolutely insane. But, however, I have to say this. Brother, I'm gonna have to cut you short.
you're fine.
We I've gotta cut you short, man. We gotta go watch Bad Bunny.
But yeah, that's the only thing. I'm not a football guy, but I'm gonna watch tonight for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Somebody asked me this morning I went live this morning because I knew I was gonna be too busy tonight. We had our
Yeah.
podcast, and then, um, we've gotta watch that. They said, "Are you gonna watch the Super Bowl?" And I said, "I don't know, but I'm damn sure watching that halftime show."
So I envision, like, am I gonna look out my window and just see a bunch of mushroom clouds from MAGA's heads exploding all around?
No, because 'cause they're gonna be listening to the Kid Rock,
Oh yeah, the turning point.
the turning point, I don't even call it turning point anymore. I call it the circle Kirk because it's really what it is, and it's just
Yeah,
Christian nationalism in cosplay, you know?
that's a whole nother podcast. You could
Dude,
talk
it
about
is.
that shit and what for hours. But yeah,
Dude, that is, absolutely.
but yeah, you're good, man. I appreciate you having me on. I was gonna tell you, if you probably don't know how I started my platform, but for the people that are watching right now, I used to just ride my Harley and karaoke songs on my Harley and post workout videos. I just so happened to
Yeah.
reply back to a MAGA comment about a civil war, and it went viral, and I think it's at 2.5 million views. But and my wife was like, you know what? I think you can be doing something better with your platform. Hence, that started Gunny Speaks Out, and then Gunny in the Wild was separate
Yeah.
from that. So I don't know if you ever knew that story or not. But so my wife is Mrs. Gunny, and she's
No,
kind of the
she's the executive producer, right?
there you go. Yeah. And, Gunny in the Wild happened by
Absolutely.
accident. Yeah. Gunny in the Wild happened by accident when I was doing a karaoke video to Public Enemy. It was a political writing video, and that guy in that black Dodge yelled at me. That videos went
Yeah.
viral like 3 or 4 times. That's what started Gunny in the Wild. I'm like, "Well, this can happen by accident. I can do this on purpose." So, I didn't know if you ever knew the backstory behind that, but yeah, that's it. My
No,
wife
I
but
didn't, but,
thanks to
you
my
know,
wife.
well, and like say, I'd like to lean on that just a little bit because I started out doing dad jokes on
Did
TikTok.
you? Yeah,
I did. I did, and then
that's funny.
I was working from home. We have our own business, and I was working here, and I was bored, and I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna go live." And so I went live, and I found a background because I didn't want everybody seeing all the, I just don't like people just walking around my house and seeing all my shit, you know?
Yeah.
A bunch of strangers. I'm not just gonna let a bunch of strangers into my house. But so I put up this thing and it was a green screen and it said breaking news across it. And it looked like a news desk. And I would just sit there and look at people, wait for people to talk, and people started asking me questions about political stuff.
Really?
Why? Why would anyone ask this guy a question about politics? I have no
Yeah,
idea. But that's how I got started, and
that's cool.
it really kinda woke me up that, hey, there are people out there that are really thirsting for somebody to come forward and talk about some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And, I don't know, I came on your lives there for a while. Was that after the election?
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that
Yeah,
was
that was
after
so
the
I was when
election
I
when you
had,
were on.
Ranting and Divergent Mama, and I had my regulars on there that would help, like, go like, sit on the panel and stuff like that, but yeah, that was after the election, and,
Yeah,
so once Gunny in the Wild took off, I got so busy doing that, just riding alone for several hours a day trying to get that content, and then trying to study just read up on the news content, I got away from doing the lives. So, I gotta figure out how to
yeah,
coordinate them back in because people are like, "Gunny, where you been? I miss you," so I'm trying to figure out I'm gonna start doing more lives on TikTok
yeah.
and then just kinda spread load my content a little bit. And you and I are
But
gonna be
I
able when we're in DC, we'll be able to collab definitely on some stuff out there.
Absolutely. Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I'm looking forward to getting out there to DC. We had, Rachel and I was talking about that the other day. She's a little nervous. We've not been to one this big. We know it's gonna be big. Have you registered for the one in DC yet? I'm trying to get
Not yet.
registration numbers up for that.
Oh, can you send me a link or something? Do you have a
Yeah,
link for that? Or okay, can you send
I
me just
will.
text it to me?
Yeah, I will. I'll text it to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Trying to get the registration numbers up on that. So
Okay. Yeah, I can share that on my platform too.
yes, if you wouldn't mind, that would be great. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And no, man, like I say, I appreciate you coming on. I've been
Yeah, no,
wanting to have you
anytime.
on. I told Rachel when I first, well, Rachel's the one that told me I was doing a podcast. She was like, "You need to." She's like, "You got to branch out from TikTok because everybody knew it was kind of a dying media." And she was
Yeah.
like, "You got to branch out." And so she's like, "You need to start doing a podcast." And I was like, "All right, cool." And then I said, I'm gonna see if Gunny will come on." And she's like,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh, 100%, do it, yeah." And, man, I was like, "Yes, yes, he's gonna do it." So, I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
we'll have a good time out in DC too. It'll be fun, and then yeah, we'll try to figure out what we can collab on out there. Plus, there's gonna be a shit ton of other creators out there. There should be
Yeah,
anyway. So yeah,
that's
but you'll
good,
like
man.
it. But I appreciate you having me on. I'll be looking to for some content on the uh, a halftime show from you. Some Bad Bunny content.
Some Bad Bunny content, hell yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Alright,
All
brother,
right,
well, it
man.
was good having you on, thank you.
Likewise.
I'll put all your socials and everything down in the comments so everybody can
Sounds good, man.
know where to
All
find you.
right.
Appreciate it, Gunny.
Yeah, man. We'll see you.